Hello, everyone. Doing a quick recap of the latest Dungeons and Dragons session. This is in the Game of Bones campaign where I'm the DM. So we're gonna just go ahead and do just a quick recap of what happened today. Just a summary, kind of tracking our progress here through this campaign. So, where the last session ended off, where they had just saved a bunch of people from drowning, a ship had crashed into a bridge and saved a bunch of people, and they were just taking a quick rest. So that's where it picks up. So they're taking a quick rest. The bridge they wanted to cross is broken, and again, this is in the city of Bravos. Set in 275 BC, the time when Old Valyria is still in power. Uh, so they kind of go down the Canal of Heroes to another bridge and cross that bridge over into kind of the nicer end of town. Dorian and the group are going to the Iron Bank for some reason. And they pass by the dome, they pass by the Blue Lantern, and they get to the Moon Pool, and the Iron Bank is right there. Now they approach the Iron Bank, and there's two guards. Oh, sorry, I completely forgot about this part. Before they made their way to the Iron Bank, there was a woman named Nelina Caltheon who was very pleased that the group saved her husband, Bailaron, from drowning. And so she gives Dorian a white pearl, and she gives Lyra 5 gold pieces. They're fishermen. She has 2 children. She was very thankful of that. Dorian can't understand her because she's speaking Valyrian, and Dorian doesn't speak Valyrian, but luckily Lyra's there as a translator, kind of translating it. So that was what happened back then. So now we'll fast forward to getting to the Iron Bank. So they approach the Iron Bank, and there's 2 guards with big spears, and uh, they say, okay, we need to make a deposit, and they say, uh, are you from Bravos? And they said, uh, no, we're foreigners. They said, oh, no more appointments for today, Bravosi only. And Artemis, being the high charisma kind of guy, uses his persuasion to persuade them to let them in, which he does fantastically at, and they allow them. They say, okay, special exception, so they allowed them to go in. Um, they get to the front and they have to check their weapons at the door. Unfortunately for uh, Artemis, he um, is carrying a legal weapon, which is the boomerang. So in this campaign, boomerangs are illegal in Bravos. So they confiscate the boomerang and take all the weapons. He also notices a little bit of blood on his dagger, which Cedric pricked himself on in the last session. But the guards say, well, if you give us each 10 gold, we'll let you have this boomerang back. So basically, they bribe the guards, and that's fine. So they move up to the front. They talk to the banker about the deposit. He has them go into a separate room. They go into the separate room, and funniest part was, another banker comes in. He says, "Well, okay, welcome to the bank of, or the Iron Bank of Bravos. How can I help you?" And Brian says, "Let me introduce my trunk." She throws the trunk on the table. So in the trunk is a bunch of family jewels and such, and so they say okay, and they put that in his family safety deposit box. Um, and that's pretty much it for that. And then they leave, they get their weapons back, they meet back up with the group. As they're meeting, there's a guy running by that says, "Oh, come see the show tonight at the Blue Lantern." And so they think, okay, well, we got nothing to do. We might as well go see this show. So they ask him how much for tickets. He says 50 gold. They say, no, that's way too much. I'll pay you 1 gold. And he just kind of scoffs and tries to scalp other people. Um, so fortunately, though, Cedric knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who can get them into the side door of the Blue Lantern. So they um, go up to the Blue Lantern and basically they sneak by and sneak inside. They was only gonna let 3 people in. This other guy that they was guarding the side entrance. but they do to persuade, and he lets them all through. So they go up and they watch a famous Bravosi play called 30 Years a Slave, about a guy who's a slave who falls in love with a Valyrian woman who's like the slave owner's wife. Uh, and she saves him from drag. He was basically picking the poop up for the dragons, and she saved him from dragon fire at one point. And then her husband found out, and so she sent him to live with like basically sold him to another family, and he befriends a adolescent dragon and grows up and eventually rides the dragon back and burns the husband and then grabs the woman. He was named Bartholomew and the woman was Penelopenus and and then Ragogo was her husband. So they fly off into the sunset. That's the end of the play. Um, and then play ends, so then they leave, and as they're leaving the side entrance, it's very dark, and a thug approaches and starts pickpocketing Dorian and steals a lot of his money when he wasn't looking. And this brings them to their first combat encounter, which was very interesting. First time I've done combat in a while. Uh, but essentially, there was a grid where Lyra and Cedric were in. Well, I'll put it up on the screen here. Lyric and Cedric are there. Dorian's here. The thugs right next to Dorian. Artemis is there, and then there's a bandit who's a little ways away. So combat goes. You know, they're fighting, they're attacking left and right. Cedric ends up dying because, well, not dying, but he gets to 0 HP because the thug rolled a d20 on him. Uh, and so he's laying. He had 2 fails, and then Dorian uses his healing power, the Cure Wound spell, to cure Cedric's wounds and bring him back to life. Meanwhile, they take out the thug and they take out the bandit and basically take their weapons and some crossbows, swords, that kind of thing. So Cedric is alive, almost died. Dorian decides to kill the thug, by the way, but Lyra only knocks out the bandit. And then they're pretty bruised, bloodied up, so they make their way to an inn called the Green Dragon, a tavern inn. They get there, cost 20 gold for 2 rooms, and then they go 2 rooms, and then that's pretty much it. So they'll have a long rest there. I'll award some XP. We'll figure out all the loot, divide that up, and we'll meet again next week for session number 3. So that'll be next Wednesday. That is Wednesday, May 6th at 7 p.m. We'll meet for the next session of the Game of Bones campaign with our stars Artemis, Frost, Cedric, Scanler, Dorian, Truth Runner, and Lyra Vance. With me, Bailey Cream or Dan as the DM. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and hope to see you next week. All right, have a good evening. Bye.